Hello everyone, I'm Paul. I'm a PhD student at Mila. I'm going to present my work on low rank training. So this is a joint work with Edward Oyalon and Eugene Belilovsky. The TLDR of this paper is training LLMs from scratch with only low rank weights, and the goal is to get them matched with a dense model training. So the motivation of this is we have like dense LLMs keep scaling, and their memory and compute is becoming a bottleneck to us. We might look for like different structured architectures that can help us to reduce the pre-training cost. So the low rank has already been working well in fine-tuning for fine-tuning cases, but this helps us to have like a fewer parameters and flops, but this has not been applied in pre-training. So one of the reason is like there are like prayer method try to do that, but they keep the full rank auxiliary weights as a support to overcome the optimization difficulties that we have, especially at the initial stages. So the question I ask in this paper is, can we train all the non-embedding matrices in low rank from scratch with no dense weight as a support and still match the dense performance? So we use this factorization with W equal AB transpose, similar to the low rank, but in low rank you will have a frozen weight that acts as a support to keep your optimization stable. So by doing that, we will have fewer parameters and less memory, and in the end, since we have fewer parameters, we can have cheaper inference. So what was the difficulty in pre-training the models with low rank factorization? So if we naively train every matrix, if we naively train every matrix parameterized as a low rank factors, and we train from scratch, we observe loss spikes and training divergence, especially at the initial stage of training. So the previous method that tried to do this is self-guided training. They rely on having a full rank auxiliary weights that helps to stabilize the initial optimization dynamics. So they initially have a full rank matrix that acts as a support, and then it gradually goes away at the half of training. So it helps to overcome the problem, but you still have to keep a full rank weight that effectively reduces the benefits of low rank training. And it adds like a 25% extra flops, and this undoes the whole point of going low rank. And we cannot measure actually what happens in low rank pre-training to get how its behavior performs with like scaling behaviors, or we cannot make scaling laws for this with this extra 25% flops acting as a barrier. So we want a native recipe which end-to-end factorized and stable, and it should have a negligible overhead, maybe like 1% overhead, and with no dense weights that acts as a crutch. So the reason for this instability is when we update the factors, we're going to, each update that we make to the factor is going to couple in the product. We cannot make the update to the product. We are making individual factor updates. So this factorization is scale invariant. So if you multiply A by lambda and divide B by lambda, it's going to be the same. So this causes the update spectral norm, which is the largest singular value of the update, to grow unbounded. And as we know, the change in activation RMS is bounded by the spectral norm of the update. This causes the activation to grow as well. So at every optimizer step, we need to make small changes to the activation such that we don't derail the optimization path and cause any loss spikes. And we see this problem, especially in the low rank training. So here I show across the training step how much that attention output, the attention output projection layers, delta W spectral norm changes with training steps. We can see this behavior only acts observed in low rank training. When we train the dense layers, we don't observe this behavior. So we hypothesize this is the main cause for the instability in training. So the method I'm proposing is Spectron. The goal is to keep the spectral norm of the update bounded. So we bound it with the learning rate that we choose for the product. So we know orthogonalization of the update helps us to keep the update spectral norm to be bounded by the learning rate that we choose for that update. So here we orthogonalize each factor update. So that means the factor updates will be bounded by the learning rate that we choose for them. Then in this equation, by using triangle inequality and the submultiplicativity property, we can get this bound. That means the spectral norm of the update is bounded by the learning rate that we choose for the factors times the sum of their individual factor spectral norms. So if we choose the rho to be equal to eta over this sum value, then we can guarantee that the delta W spectral norm will be bounded by the eta. So for every optimizer step, we adaptively pick this the learning rate for each factors using this rescaling law. So this gives us the full method. We have like spectral renormalization at every steps and orthogonalization of the updates. This is like every step, it will self-correct the behavior of the updates so that we don't have any loss spikes. So this becomes the algorithm. We update the momentum with the gradients and orthogonalize each momentum to get the update that we want using Newton's coils. And at every step, we estimate, we don't need to have the exact values. We estimate it with 1 power iterations to get their spectral norms of the factors. Then we renormalize the update. So using this update, we can update each factors. So this causes us to this derives us a mu on update with the spectral renormalization of the learning rate for each factors. Here we are using power iterations. This has like 2 mn flops per matrix. So this is negligible. And having, we also have like a mu on Newton's coils iterations. So Newton's coils iteration is around like 1% overhead for modern LLM training. So in the end, we end up with 1% overhead for the whole method. So this is like 25% reduction, 25 times reduction from the self-guided trainings method. So, and this also probably bounds the delta W spectral norm. So here we can see the Adam W has a very high value for the update spectral norm, and mu1, which only has the orthogonalization, bounds the spectral norm somewhat closer, but with additional spectral renormalization that we introduce, we can see it keeps the delta W spectral norm by the learning rate. So this control helps us to do native low rank training with stable optimization. So we compare with other low rank training methods at different model sizes for llama models. And we can see at every sizes, the Spectron performs better in terms of validation perplexity and also in the downstream tasks. We get around like 6 to 12% lower perplexity versus self-guided training, but we have to observe that self-guided training uses dense weight as a support for the first half of the training, and it has like 25% more overhead. And so this is how the validation loss looks like over training steps. We can see when we do a naive training, we observe loss spikes, especially in the beginning, but with self-guided, we can overcome it, but it has like 25% more flops. The Spectron, our method, like reduces the loss spikes. At the same time, it has like a 1% overhead. So this is like comparison with a dense model with its total training time flops matched. So that means, so we have like 780 million dense model and we make it low rank. Since the model is smaller, we match the training budget. So here we need to train the low rank model longer. So if we train the low rank model longer and match the training budget, it can match the same performance of the dense model at equal training budget. So here we end up with a smaller model, so it will be more inference efficient. And we compare with, we do a like scaling analysis of at different model sizes, and we get more steeper scaling law for low rank models. So the low rank models get more and more effective as we scale. And at every model sizes, we get lower perplexity for low rank model at matched model sizes. So we get an inference optimal model with less than 1% flop overhead when we train the model, and it holds better performance in the downstream as well. Since we have like only 1% overhead for training, we can use the low rank training to calculate the scaling loss for it. So here we did an isoflop analysis for using like 39 runs of model sizes from 47 million to 1.5 billion parameters. And we derived the scaling loss using the isoflop analysis. And we observed that for low rank training, we get the optimal model for a given compute budget to be slightly smaller than the chinchilla values. And we also observed that the data set required to train low rank model is also slightly higher. So here I calculate the amount of inference saving if we choose a low rank model instead of a dense model for a given compute budget. Since you have, for a given compute budget, you will get a smaller optimal model. As we scale the compute budget, we can go up to 40 to 50% inference saving at deployment. So this gives us a like similar power loss compared to chinchilla, but it's also slightly smaller. That helps us to reduce the inference cost as well. Yeah, so the takeaway of this method is like we can do native low rank pre-training, stable and competitive with the dense models, and it gives us an inference efficient final model. And thank you. The code is available, and I have a poster as well. You can ask questions now and also during the posters.